I've actually had 4 instructors just crying for about an hour after the lesson, and I can have my own car one day. Hello, my name's Hadi Jatu. I'm 25 years old. I just wanted to sort of talk about the lessons that I've had so far, how many hours that I've done. I grew up with my mum who doesn't drive, and none of my immediate family did drive either, so we just got by using public transport. I don't think any of us felt like we needed to drive or we needed to have a car to do things. We still went to festivals. We would just carry our gear on the train and public transport, and it didn't seem like a massive hassle. So I grew up just having the mentality of I can get public transport, and that's fine, and that's something that I've always done. I've never had an issue with that. So because my mum doesn't drive, she never sort of pushed me to learn to drive, or like I say, it didn't ever really felt like it was a necessity to us. So it's just not something that I ever thought about. Once I turned 17, I got my provisional license, but that was just more for ID rather than wanting to learn to drive. I went to university, and again, I just didn't have the urge to learn to drive at all. I don't know what it was. I didn't get a job at uni. I didn't learn to drive. I just sort of focused on my degree. It just never was a thing, and then it's not been until recently, in the past maybe 2 years, that I've actually wanted to drive. I think that's mostly because I travel to work, so it takes me 3 hours in total. So my journey to work and then journey back home, 3 hours out of my day using public transport. And I just think in the past, I've been there a year and a half now, maybe just a little bit over a year and a half. In that time, I've just really learned how much easier things would be if I could just drive. I could just drive to work. It would take me maybe maximum 40 minutes in traffic. I don't have to get on public transport. I can listen to my own music in my car. And I really, really want that. I want to be able to have the independence to just go anywhere because I've got a car. So it just makes things a lot easier. So all that being said, I've got my little notepad here because I've actually had 4 instructors in my journey of learning to drive. So I first started taking lessons in June of 2019, and this was with a woman I actually knew from school, and I knew that she was doing driving lessons just through social media. So she's the first person that I thought of, and I just thought, yeah, I'm going to go and get lessons with her. And she was amazing. There's no reason that I stopped taking lessons from her other than the fact that she could only do lessons during the week. If I was doing a 12 till 8 shift, I would do a lesson before my shift started. However, I wasn't always on a 12 till 8. Sometimes I'd be on an 8 till 4, sometimes I'd be a 10 till 6. And in those times, I could not do a lesson before work or after work. So unfortunately, that's the reason that I had to stop doing lessons with her, which I was really gutted about at the time, because honestly, I think I would have been passed and been driving by now if I just stuck with her. I felt really calm around her, and I felt it was. Oh, I forgot to say, I never even sat in a driver's seat before my first lesson with her. So I didn't know, and I don't know anything about cars. I'm one of these girls that I don't know anything. Yeah, like I said, in the first lessons with her, I felt really comfortable and really at ease. I stalled a lot of times, but I never felt anxious or upset by it. She made me feel like it's okay. You're a learner. These things happen. It was fine. So I actually had either 6 or 7 lessons with her. I can't actually remember. I tried to work it out by going through the messages, but it wasn't that clear. So it's definitely 6, could be 7 lessons that I've had with her. And she did an hour per lesson, and she charged £28 per hour. My first lesson was the 25th of June 2019, and then my last lesson with her was the 5th of August. There was a month where I was still hoping that I'd be able to do lessons with her, but I just ended up having continuous 9 to 5 shifts, or 10 till 6. So then I decided that I would try again with a different instructor. And now this is in October of 2019. So I only had 4 lessons with this guy in total. I really didn't like this instructor. It wasn't anything to him personally, it's just his teaching style just did not gel with me, and a lot of the time he'd be running late, so I'd have to do my lesson to drop off. So basically what would happen is
I'd get into the car, there'd be the person, his client that he's just finished doing a lesson with, they would sort of drive to my house, they'd get in the back seat, I'd get in the driver's seat, then I'd basically be driving this person to their home, and then driving to pick up the next person, and then they would drive me back home.
And I just really didn't like that because I felt like I wasn't actually learning anything, for one. And I was driving in spots and places that a beginner driver shouldn't really be doing. And then he would get stressed out because I'm trying to like manoeuvre the car, and I'm getting stressed out because I'm thinking I don't know what I'm doing here. And also what I didn't like about him is he'd always like have his foot on the clutch, so he'd be doing the clutch control most of the time, not me. And I just felt like I wasn't learning anything. He was too casual and too relaxed for me. I need to be told exactly what to do, when to do it, and I need to know why I'm doing it, and like what effect this is going to have on the car, and like how I'm in control with it and stuff like that. So yeah, that just didn't work. I had 4 lessons with him. On the last lesson I actually ended up just crying for about an hour after the lesson because I was that stressed and that frustrated because I knew on that last lesson that I didn't want to necessarily have him as an instructor, but I kept going because I thought it might just be me, it might just be because it's a stressful situation and like see how you go sort of thing. But I just didn't like it. I just felt stressed. I cried so much after that lesson. So yeah, so my last lesson with him was on the 17th of November. So it was only a month. So I started on October 26th, last lesson 17th of November. And he charged £23 per hour for his lessons. So at this point with the 2 independent drivers, I had 11 hours in total. So at this point, I was just a bit over it. I just thought I needed to have a break. I even thought to myself, can I drive? Like, is it going to be worth it to carry on? I did have a look for driving instructors online, but I just felt like it was so hard to try and find like the right person for you online, because most of the time it came up with like driving schools. It didn't actually come up with driving instructors. So I actually ended up not doing any lessons for months and months. I was looking on driving schools like websites one day, and I went on to Red Driving School, and they ended up giving me a call as I was looking on the website, and I actually ended up just being like, okay, I'm gonna take this as a sign, and maybe this is how they get you, maybe just book some lessons with them and see how it goes. So this was actually in February of 2020. So my last lesson was in November, then it was 3 months again before I started driving lessons with Red Driving School. So they charge £28 per hour. The lessons at Red Driving School are 2 hours per session. You can't really do an hour, and I actually really like that. I find that you start getting to the groove a little bit better than as you would if it was just an hour lesson. On their website, it actually also gives you modules that you can do to go along with your driving lessons. And I found that really helpful because I'm like a revision sort of girl. I need to have things like set out in my own way. I need to write things down and fully understand something. With things like this, things that are quite hard and things that are a little bit foreign to me, such as driving, I need to know sort of exactly what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, how the car works, and why I have to do certain things. So that was really helpful. So I actually really like the fact that I can just sort of go online and do a bit of homework after lessons or before lessons. It just really helps with the learning to drive, I think. This first instructor that I had at Red Driving School, I only had 4 lessons with him. I actually paid for 5, but I had to cancel one really last minute because I went on a night out and then ended up staying like out most of the night, so I couldn't go to that lesson. But with this first instructor from Red Driving School, I actually really didn't like the way he taught. I found him really patronising, and with Red Driving School they have like a curriculum maybe, or like the instructors follow a certain sort of guideline, whereas independent instructors, I don't think they have that at all. Well, I don't know, but at Red the instructor was very like this thing called what is it? Look, assess, decide, act, and it's like acronyms, so LADA, and other little things like manoeuvre, position, speed, things like this. It'd be like, so what do we have to do now? Is it move, position, or is it whatever the fuck the thing is? He'd be asking me questions and I just didn't know the answer. I don't know, it's really difficult because with instructors, I do feel like you've got to get the right one. Again, he was a nice guy himself, but his teaching method just was not for me. Like I said, it was just a little bit too straight-laced, maybe, is that the word? Too like on the ball for me to like fully engage, because I just found it stressful, the fact that he was asking me questions all the time. I didn't really feel that comfortable with him. So at the time of my last lesson with this instructor, this is when coronavirus pandemic sort of hit fully and driving lessons were stopped completely. So the first lesson was February, so 15th of February, and then the last one was on like the 6th of March, something like that. This is when coronavirus kicked off, so I didn't actually have a lesson again then until the 25th of July. I was really gutted at the time when the lessons had to stop, because even though I didn't like this instructor, I just thought to myself, I'm just gonna keep going with him, I'm not gonna change again, like I just need to get this done and then finished. So I was really upset when the lessons stopped, and also I had my theory test booked, I think on a Friday in March, and again that had to be cancelled because of the coronavirus. So I just felt like everything that I was doing was just being halted. And I also had a job interview for I think like the week after my theory in March, and again that had to be cancelled because of all of that. So I was gutted about all of that, because I really thought that I'm doing my lessons, I'm going to do my theory, I've got a job interview that I'm going to get. So yeah, at the time I was just down because of all of that, but again everyone was, because the coronavirus situation is very shit. So yeah, I mean, again, 4 months in between lessons, and then luckily the lessons were able to start again. And what I decided to do was to stick with Red Driving School. So what I did was I contacted the customer services and I just said, look, I really want to start lessons again. I know that you guys have started doing lessons, but I would like to change instructor because I didn't like his teaching style. And they were really good. They didn't ask me anything else about it. I just said that I didn't like the teaching style and I'd prefer to try and see if there's anybody else that would suit me better. They didn't question that. There's this guy in your area who is available sort of when I wanted the lesson. So I was like, perfect, I'll try him, see how it goes. And if I don't like it, I'm just going to stick with it, because like I said, I just didn't want to change anybody else. I just wanted to get it done. So that brings me to present day. So I've actually done 5 lessons with my current instructor so far. So that's been 10 hours. I cannot really fault this guy at all. So glad that I decided to change instructors, because I feel so much more comfortable with my current instructor. With the previous one, I literally was only doing right and left turns for like those 4 lessons that I had with him. I didn't get any much further than that. With my current instructor, we've driven to like a different city or a different town and back, and I feel like I've made so much more progress and I feel so much more comfortable in a car, and I really feel like I can do it, and I can have my own car one day and be driving my own. So in total I have now had 33 hours of lessons completed. Now my friends that drive, they said that they only had like 40 hours worth of lessons, and then they did the test and passed it. So I'm approaching that. Now I am going to give myself a bit of like leeway, because I have had like 3 or 4 months in between each sort of lessons that I've had, or each instructor I should say. And I'm going to take my lesson when I feel comfortable and when my instructor thinks I can take the lesson. So I'm not pushing myself too much, but I'm getting a little bit excited because I feel like I am sort of close to doing it. I just need to book my theory test, which I haven't done yet because I need to wait until I get paid. I'm going to be very honest. So I get paid in a couple of weeks' time. I'll book my test. Hopefully I can get one in within like a month. Should be able to do my theory test and then do my driving test as well and get my full license. But we'll see. I mean, I'm saying all this, I might like do my test and then fail, but we're not going to put that into the universe. I am going to do my test. I'm going to pass them both, my theory test and my driving test. So yeah, it's all very exciting, and I just wanted to do this series because, one, just to touch on me being 25, the fact that I'm 25 doesn't really mean anything in relation to driving. I think I do sort of regret the fact that I didn't do it when I was younger, because I think I would have been a little bit more fearless. Hey, Bob. And maybe I would have done it a bit quicker. I don't know, I think everything happens sort of like when you're ready to do things in at its own pace. So I don't feel bad that I've not learned to drive before now. But like I've said in like my previous video, it's just something that I want to get done, because once I've completed these like few goals of mine, so moving out, learning to drive, getting a job that I like, I feel like then I can start to enjoy life a bit better. And that might sound a little bit sad, and you might think, well, you should enjoy life now. I do enjoy life now, but I just want to get these things done and out of the way, and then I can like focus on other things a little bit more. So if you're either 25 or a similar age to me and you're learning to drive at the moment, then feel free to subscribe. I know it's quite comforting to sort of hear other people's experiences. In some other videos I might talk about like my experiences with instructors and go a little bit more into depth about sort of experiences that I've had in cars with them. Nothing bad, but just sort of like funny moments or like scary moments. So yeah, thank you so much again for watching. Okay, thanks guys, bye.